Hello and welcome to Inspiration and Information with Jen Julius. In this interview with Dawn Lyons, we'll be discussing how your behavioral style may be affecting your referability. It's a can't-miss interview for entrepreneurs. Enjoy!
Are we ready, Cows Radio? We have Dawn Lyons here in the house, and we have some amazing information to share with entrepreneurs and actually just people in general. I think the information that's going to be shared today is pretty valuable for anyone actually to understand how your behavioral style can really just not only affect you and your business, but just your interactions with people in general. So I'd like to go ahead and introduce Dawn Lyons and let her tell you a little bit about who she is, what she does, how she got there, and why she's such a big deal. How does that sound? Dawn, say hi.
Hey, everyone.
Perfect. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Well, I actually grew up in Michigan. I'm pretty much a small town kid. My claim to fame in our hometown was the fact that we actually had a 4-way stop sign. That was really impressive for us. I grew up on 22 acres, so I was a big tomboy. And for whatever reason, I just decided at the age of 18 I wanted out of Michigan. And I really don't like the snow, so I thought, okay, I'm going to move to California. Any place closer to Hawaii, I thought had to be better.
Right.
And so I came out here and I actually got started. I went to this seminar when I was about 18 and I saw a gentleman teach about behavioral styles. And back then it was called like red, blue, green, yellow or something like that. And I walked into the seminar and people are saying, oh my gosh, you're such a blue and you're such a red. I'm all, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't like it. I felt kind of excluded because I didn't know what that meant. And I thought, I'm just me, and I didn't understand it. And then I saw him do this presentation and I was amazed. And I think that people can wow you. People are wonderful. Some people can be a little weird and some can be a little wacky, right? And I thought, wow, this is pretty amazing information about people. I wish I knew this when I was in school, learning about my friends or my teachers and all that kind of thing. And so I just got really, really attracted to learning more about people. And then I heard this one phrase, and especially for all of your listeners that are business owners, this is one thing that one of my mentors taught me. And she said, when you know more about people than you do your product, you will be unusually successful in business.
Oh, say it again. Write that down, everybody.
When you know more about people than you do your product, you will be unusually successful in business. And man, that just went straight to my heart. And I thought, you know what? It doesn't matter what I do for the rest of my life. People are always around me. Ain't
that the truth?
Unless I'm in outer space by myself or something,
or hiding on a mountain like we were just talking about, which I'm going to do next week. I'm going to go hide somewhere. No one can find me.
Yeah, but you can still talk to the trees. And,
exactly. That's true. That's true. But and they won't talk back, and I'll love that.
There you go. There you go. So it was just a really interesting thing for me, and I think to see it at such a young age was really powerful. But here was the trip. I think that I kind of went down. I actually rose pretty quickly in this company's organization, and I saw this gentleman that I thought on stage was doing amazing things and teaching people this stuff. And then I got behind the scenes, and I was so disappointed.
Oh.
I saw him utilize the same material that he was using for good. I saw him really use it to manipulate and hurt people. And I got disgusted. And so I ran from that company and I actually went and learned from someone. Her name is Danny Johnson, amazing, amazing woman. Does training seminars all around the world. And I learned from her for over 15 years total, probably. And I just began with her because she talked about how you can honor people with this material. So, for the listeners out there, I would like them to know that karma is alive. Yeah. And it works incredibly well. This gentleman was using it for the wrong reasons, and Danny was using it for the right reasons, just really serving people and honoring them and making them feel great. And that's what I believe this world needs a little bit more of. If every interaction that we had with people while we were out and about just was better and we made people feel better and special, I think we'd all go through life, feeling just a lot better about ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then, so locally, can you tell us a little bit about how you're involved in Sonoma County? Like, what are your businesses here? Because you do all kinds of stuff, and Mickey Griffith was on not too long ago sharing with us a little bit about you, but maybe you could describe who you are and what you do here in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Mickey is actually one of my co-owners with me in the Referral Institute, which is a worldwide training and consulting organization. So we're in over 15 different countries, and we really help entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs is our absolute target market. We want to help people do more and be better in their referral marketing efforts. Now, you're a life coach. You know people that are out there trying to build their business and really design their life how they want it to be. Well, so many people in entrepreneurial type businesses waste a lot of time because they don't necessarily know what's effective for them. Right. And, in Sonoma County, we have a ton of networking events that are available to us. But how many of the listeners out there are kind of dealing with, well, I go to all these things, but I don't get anything from it. And then they feel like they're busy, but they're not generating any business from it. And that's a big differentiator right there.
I wonder how many of you are nodding your heads like I am right now out there. Like,
It's really nice to feel busy, but at the end of the month, we got to have some money in the bank.
Something to show for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Referral Institute does that. And then my husband and I, Mike Macedonio, we also own the franchises for BNI, Business Network International. And I'm very proud to say that when we started with it, we had about 19 chapters, and today we have 75 chapters. We're in 7 different counties in the North Bay here. So we have amazing members, and they really want to know more and do more with growing their business. And it's all about referrals, and it's all about helping people. So it's a pretty amazing lifestyle.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love watching you talk about it too. You get so excited.
I do.
Just totally light up.
I do.
BNI, and we've talked about BNI a little bit with, like I said, with Mickey here and Lisa Saffron not too long ago. And then I mention it quite frequently, obviously, since it's a big part of my life right now.
Yep.
And it's definitely, it's different. I don't even know how to describe. Tomorrow is our visitor day for BNI, and I have to talk a little bit as the president about a testimonial for the entire chapter, right? And just talking about it. And it's created for me also such a sense of family and community.
Absolutely.
More than I've ever, I want to say, experienced in any other aspect of my life. So
I think that's the one big thing. So, people get started in BNI because they're looking for new business. They want to grow their business.
Yeah.
The reason why they stay in BNI is because of the support that they receive, not just from the family kind of situation with all the chapter members, but even just the support of learning more about other businesses out there in the community, and being a part and getting out there and networking with people instead of always having to do things on their own.
Right. And then also just when you see somebody every week and you really get to build that camaraderie. I know that you visited my chapter, and that was one of the things you said was like, wow, you guys have a lot of camaraderie, maybe a little too much. You guys are crazy. No, just kidding.
Did not say that.
Just kidding. That was mine. It really builds such a unique connection, from having that consistency of seeing people and just really being able to know that you have people on your team in a way. Like you said, that sense of support. I really appreciate you saying that they stay because of the support. And that applies to so many arenas in life, but especially even in the business world too. People want to feel connected.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that entrepreneurs struggle with.
Yeah.
I actually don't really like that word, solopreneur. Because it really does, it's even more of a visual of the fact that, wow, I really am by myself,
right.
And you don't have to be.
Yeah.
And I think that the more that you get involved in community, the more that you understand about people and who you can work with and jive with the best, then you do build that team of people surrounding you. And now, when you're around other people, you kind of have to live up to a little bit different standard.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we're all by ourselves, well, it can be the sweats and the ponytails for a couple days, but then if we're out and about, then no, we've got to kind of raise that standard, and anything you can do to build that self-esteem, that self-confidence, I think that's really crucial too.
Absolutely. And before we get super started on the behavioral styles, I just kind of want to let you know too, and then also note, if people listen to my show regularly, we've definitely talked quite a few times about energy and how people vibe with each other. And Dawn just brought that up. And I think it's important to really emphasize that energy and feeling people's energy and vibing with people is a real thing. You know, it's not something that we're making up, and everyone, I guarantee you all know, if you're listening, what I'm talking about. And one of the things that we've talked about that I'll just share again today, even though it's a little off topic from behavioral style, is the concept I shared a few times, I think, of how the concept of rejection doesn't exist. That what it really is just two people, if we're talking about it person to person, it's two people that are no longer matching energy levels. So perhaps one person has done a lot of personal development and grown a lot, and maybe the other person hasn't, and they just don't really match anymore. They don't really vibe anymore. And that's something that's okay. You know, sometimes people just don't energetically match. And we've all met someone randomly in a store that we're just like, ooh, yeah, I don't think I'd be friends with you. They just don't match. And it's not that we're being jerks or that, you know, we're judging. It's just the simple fact that we have a bunch of humans on the earth, and we have a bunch of choices in who we can surround ourselves with. And that's pretty darn cool. And I believe that we should be kind of aware and understanding of who we vibe with and who we don't, and be okay, because it's just part of reality and being alive and being a human. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there too, that as we're talking about who do you vibe with? Who works well with you? Like, what personality types or behavioral styles do you really match with and work with? That's something I think that is okay to talk about and just have some acceptance around. You know, it's not that we're trying to categorize people or anything like that. It's just the simple truth of, hey, we're all different, and that's great. And with the more that we can learn about people and how we're different, the better off we're all going to be. So I just kind of wanted to throw those concepts out there too.
Yeah, and actually, I think we'll be talking about a lot about that today too, because there's several things in working with behavioral styles that you either click or clash, and so either are okay once you understand it,
right?
And then when you really want to work on it more, you can literally figure out, oh, I get why we clash, and you know what? Sometimes when we clash with certain people, it's actually because they have the exact strengths that are our weaknesses.
Oh, I can't wait to hear more about that.
It's actually pretty interesting.
I am painfully aware of some of my weaknesses, so this might help me in seeking out some people that can help support me in those areas.
There you go. And that's what it's all about, really.
And then being, I think, also aware enough. That's a thing that I really specialize in, is raising people's awareness around their own behaviors, their own likes and dislikes, their values especially, and how they are or are not aligning with them.
Yep.
And perhaps how that's influencing their overall satisfaction with life. And I think that when we can just be like, hey, this is a struggle for me, like, how can I get some support around it? And we can almost, I want to say, humble ourselves enough to admit, like, hey, we aren't good at everything, and if you think you are, you need to check yourself.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that when we can really just acknowledge that, then we're going to allow ourselves to grow to a even higher level.
Absolutely. I was just telling the story the other day at leadership team training, and my family had this huge apple tree on the property, and it had one of those big old tire swings, you know. So as a kid, you know, when all the apples were rotting on the ground, it was a little messy to go in and swing on the tire swing, but of course I did, because I was a tomboy.
Duh.
And one of the things my dad said one time was, well, if you're green, you're growing, and if you're ripe, you're rotten. And I think that really does portray even in people's lives. You know, when we're green, you know, we're hungry for that information. We want to do better. We're seeking out new things and ways that we can do better in our life. And when we're ripe, or we know it all, I got this down, I can handle anything, don't worry about me, all that kind of attitude. When we're ripe, we're rotten. And I hit a really hard point in my life. I had done super, super well, and then I flat out was literally living on Taco Bell and, you know, $2 happy hour kind of things.
Yeah.
You know, just trying to get by, because I had really lost that need to learn and seek out things. And so I absolutely get what you're saying.
Thanks for sharing that too. Yeah, because I think that it's important to know that. Well, I don't know. If we have time, maybe we'll talk a little bit about, because I think one of the most powerful things about your story that I know you touched on a little bit, but is just how it's not like you were born into. It's not like your parents owned all these B&I franchises and were owners of the Referral Institute.
Nope.
You know what I mean? And I think that that's one of the most powerful reasons that I was so attracted to you. I remember I was pretty bold and approached you one day like, hi, I'm Jen Julius, and I want to talk to you more.
Yeah, I believe the thing was, I want a one-to-one with you.
And you're like, okay, why? And I'm like, and I remember actually, I said, because I want to hear your story. I said, there's something about you that I want to hear your story and how you got to where you are. And you were kind of like, this girl, Yeah. I was going to say this girl's crazy, but you didn't say that.
No.
Again.
No, and I actually happen to vibe very well with people who are bold and strong and courageous. And so that's actually what attracted me to you, and therefore I said yes to the appointment. You're very welcome. So that's one of the things with my behavioral styles. I like people like that.
Yeah.
You know, like I do believe that we had an automatic connection.
Yeah.
You know, just because of several things that we have in common.
Yeah.
And as we talk about the behavioral styles, we'll see exactly what those are.
Right, exactly. And this is going to be something interesting because maybe, I wonder if this will come up and if we'll be able to address it, because oftentimes what I've noticed is when you have two bold or perhaps dominant people, they often clash a lot. But in our case, we're both pretty dominant, bold females, and we actually vibe really well. So maybe we'll be able to address a little bit of that, because I think that it's one of those areas that can definitely be, one or the other pretty easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I was recently in a meeting where two people that are the same style that could possibly get along fabulously, something just kind of came off a little awkward. And I just saw the energy between the two of them go, yep, nope, I won't be working with that person. And it was so visible to me because I understand behavioral styles. The rest of the room didn't even notice. I was just like, oh, bummer. That's not going to go so hot.
Yeah. And you can just see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So should we tell everybody what behavioral styles are?
Let's do it. Let's dive in. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So the coolest thing with behavioral styles is to know that everybody is a unique blend. No matter what behavioral style company you learn from or go with, they will always or should always talk about the blends of styles that you are. So nobody is in a box. Nobody is one thing only. And so in the Referral Institute, we really wanted some names of the styles that were inclusive. Remember saying I felt really excluded because somebody was calling me a blue and a red. And I didn't even know what that was. There's organizations out there that use animals. You've got the lion or the golden retriever and the monkey and that kind of thing. So you can call them anything you wanted to. But what we decided to do was we really wanted something that would show entrepreneurs a very easy visual and have it inclusive. So I'm going to talk about our styles. And as I talk about it, as you're listening to this, try to see where you fit in. And once again, you're going to be a blend of each style. So I'll talk about two things first. In behavioral styles, you want to look for people that are either fast-paced or slower-paced. So your fast-paced people are kind of like you and I, Jen. Do you notice how we're talking fast? We move fast. I'm talking with my hands right now, even though I'm on the radio and nobody can see it.
Yep.
And what we do is we think fast, we walk fast, we talk fast, we make quick decisions. Now, sometimes those decisions can get us into trouble when we're doing things a little too fast. And that's
no way.
Yeah, that can be an issue for the faster-paced people. And the slower-paced people are people that, they are just able to be more reserved, a little bit more calm. They tend to think things through a lot more, which again could be very meaningful in certain situations. And the neat thing with the slower paced people is they're simply a little bit more cautious. They want to take the time to figure out if it's a good decision. Why rush is kind of their attitude. Wait a second. Can't we just think this through? Can't we look at the information? Can't we take some time to see how this feels to us instead of rush, push? To where the fast-paced people, they're kind of like, no. Come on, let's go. What do you mean we have to wait? Why do we have to wait? Why can't we just make a decision? Let's go. Let's do this. And again, those are the things that can kind of get us into trouble. I tell this example often. Let's say that you're in this tropical, beautiful place and the fast-paced people see a pool right at the edge of at the edge of the cliff or something, right? So we're all set to go. We run over there and we go to dive in the pool and there's no water. Like, it would have been important to walk over, maybe put your foot in the water, make sure it's the proper temperature, make sure it's full so that you don't hurt yourself. Yeah. And the more cautious people, they would take the time to go over there, check out the surroundings, make sure everything's safe, and then be able to dive in and still have just as much fun.
Yeah.
But sometimes that our fast-pacedness really gets us into trouble.
Yeah.
And yet we like it, we love it, and sometimes we thrive on it to a point of hurting ourselves.
Right.
So, sometimes in business, we've got to slow down.
Yeah.
We've got to check out some of the details. Man, I've had some good friends of mine, just purchase some things that I thought were, wow, why did they go there? And it was such a quick decision, and it was just like, oh man, I wish they would have come to me. I wish they would have asked for some help, or, kind of have that sounding board.
Right.
And those slower paced people can really do that. So I think that slower paced people can help the faster paced people, and vice versa. Sometimes the slower paced people are actually in paralysis.
Yeah.
They are actually thinking too much on everything instead of speed of implementation. And that is a crucial success factor. So can you see how both styles can help each other? And if we're stuck in our own styles and we don't see the need for those other strengths of the other styles, that can actually help us or hurt us in business. So those are two things to look for when you start to try to identify what style are you. Are you fast-paced or are you slower-paced?
Have you noticed in some areas, because as you're speaking, I'm kind of thinking about myself and then other people I know. Have you noticed that perhaps some people are fast-paced in certain areas of decision-making and then very slow in others? Like, for example, perhaps they're really fast-paced when it comes to business decisions, but maybe they're very slow-paced when it comes to relationship or familial decisions, or something that relates more to their relationships? Or is it typically people tend to be kind of fast-paced with most decisions and slow-paced with others?
Yeah, I would say it really is kind of one or the other, because behavioral style is all about how you act and react. When you get into more personality type of things, it goes a lot more into psychology. So especially on the example that you gave in business, they can make fast-paced decisions, but maybe with relationships, they're slower paced. That actually might depend on whether or not they've been hurt in certain types of relationships before. And now all of a sudden they have this wall up.
Sure. Sure.
And so that would be more of what I would look for in a case like that, because typically, in my personal life and in my business life, I'm fast paced.
Got it.
Somebody calls and says, "Hey, do you want to do this?" I'm yes or no.
Yeah.
And I've got my answer, so I think it really is one way, because your behavioral style is all about how you're acting. And, it's hard for us to change that in all different areas of our life. So it's really how you're wired.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So pace is a big thing. So really think about the pace of who you are and what you do. Then the next two things we ask people to look at is, where do you focus more? And we have two types of styles that we call either task driven. So it's all about the task. It's all about the process. It's all about the next step. And these are people, task-oriented people are folks who kind of like to check things off. They like to accomplish things. My goal sheet is actually an interactive goal sheet, because I have little boxes that I can check things off, so that every time I do something, I accomplish that and I get to check it off.
Do you ever go back and write something down just so you can check it off because you did it?
Absolutely. It wasn't yeah, of course, because it's still an accomplishment.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Like, I just did that, but it wasn't on my list. It is now, so I can check it off.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. I love that. So literally, I have on my goal sheet to have 2 dates a month with my husband.
Oh, good.
So for January, I've got 2 little boxes next to it. For February, I've got 2 boxes.
Yeah.
And so now I'm checking that off. And for me, not that my dates with my husband are a task. They're not, honey, I promise. But it's just one of those things that task-oriented people tend to do.
It helps you to conceptualize, what all are you doing? What all do we need to keep in mind and keep prioritized?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the more that we can kind of check things off and see that we're accomplishing things, we're getting things done.
Yeah.
And then the other type of person is more the people-oriented person. And people-oriented folks really thrive around people. We've got to be with them, working with them, helping them, training them, supporting them. All of these things, the people-oriented folks are really out and about to help, serve, have fun, kind of bring the energy to life within people. And they're kind of those inspirational people. So people-oriented folks really focus on the people end of things, to where task-oriented people can really be on their own a lot. Get things done all by themselves. Why? Because they can do it all by themselves. And so sometimes the task-oriented people have difficulties getting out there and networking and making the personal connections. It's more way kind of up at the tippy top of the conversation. So what do you do? Oh, great. How do you like your business? How long have you been involved? what kind of clients are
check.
Exactly. Yeah. They're going through the checklist because they're finding out whether or not, they should can kind of continue this conversation with people.
Right.
So when you put all those 4 things together, you've got the fast-paced, task-driven folks are go-getters. So they like to get things done quickly. They like to win. They like to be right. Okay, so those are kind of our go-getters. Our promoters are the other fast-paced people, but they're the people-oriented side. And right now, everyone, Jen is pointing to herself.
Yeah.
Yes, that is her.
It's pretty darn obvious.
Okay, yeah. And that's the promoter. Okay. Then you've got the slower-paced, people-driven, and that's our nurturer, right? The nurturer is going to still love on people just like the promoter does. The nurturer just does it in more of a supporting, helping, serving kind of a role, to where the promoter does it more fun, inspiring, energetically. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No.
We call them our woohoo people.
Oh, really? Weird. Because I think that's like one of my most used phrases on my Facebook page is woohoo. That's right, hilarious.
That is perfect. And see, that's how you're wired. And so it's so fitting. So that's why I love this stuff.
Perfect.
And then our examiners are our slower paced, task driven people. So again, they like things at a slower pace. They're task driven. So they are going to be more of those folks that really like the analytical side of things. They really like to observe. They like to study. They like to have the data and the research and the knowledge. They literally thrive on knowledge. And as business owners, if we don't give them enough knowledge, they will not buy.
Right.
So it's all about the decision-making process. And if they have enough information to make the decision, they'll buy. If they don't, they won't. So examiners really focus on having all that information. So once again, it's go-getters. So to give you some more traits about the go-getters, they love to win. They are people that are driven. They love success. They're ambitious type of people. And they really thrive on just being out there and doing. They get bored really easy, and they tend to be just a little tiny bit impatient. Actually, it's a pretty standard characteristic with go-getters. They tend to be very impatient because
let's handle it.
Yeah, let's handle it, and let's get it done yesterday.
Yes.
That's kind of their attitude. Promoters, again, are those people that are more fun-loving, energetic, inspiring. They love people. They love to have fun. Their motto is, if this ain't fun, I'm not in. I'm not doing it. So it's got to be all about the fun and the vibrancy of whatever's going on. Our nurturers are more serving oriented people. They really have a true heart to serve and to help people. And they are really loyal people. They're amazing listeners. They are amazing listeners. Most of us that are listening to this radio show right now, if we have a problem in our life and we just really need to talk, we probably call a nurturer in our life. They are the people that will hear us out. They'll listen to us. Yeah. They'll help us. And they're the folks that are just there for people.
Right.
And then the examiners, which I've kind of talked about, really are those process-oriented people. Again, very loyal because they do all the research. So they'll figure everything out, make a great decision, and then stay with that decision forever. Yeah. So, the diversity of the 4 different styles is really important to your networking efforts. So those are kind of the 4 styles. Again, everybody has different levels of intensity. Listeners, if you were to guess, I haven't told too many stories yet, but I'll give you a little hint here. I like to win. I like to be right. I like to move fast. I love adventure. I love thrill-seeking stuff. I love to take risks. I love people. I think they're amazing and crazy and wonderful. So if you were to guess my top 2 styles, I'm actually can you guess? Go-getter, promoter. And I am tied like way, way, way up at the very tippy top of the scale. My nurture is a lot lower, and I do have a decent amount of examiner in me because it motivates my go-getter to look good. And I'm just being really honest here, folks.
Yeah.
If I was a go-getter 100% and didn't have any examiner, I wouldn't be able to take care of all the details that I need to take care of to be able to look good, because go-getters like to look good. They don't like to be wrong or look bad.
Right.
Ooh, that's a nasty situation to get into with the go-getter. So,
man, I really need to probably do
the analysis or the test or whatever it is again, because I'm trying to remember what my combo was. And I think it was the strange combo of being like a promoter nurturer.
Yeah, actually, that's not all that strange.
It's not all that strange?
And,
Okay.
and folks, for those of you that are listening, no one in the world
combo is strange?
No combo is strange.
Okay.
It's just, you have different strengths than the person sitting right next to you. And I think that if we all had a better respect level for the strengths within each style, then we would go, oh, now I understand why you do this way, but I would do it this completely opposite way. So no style combo is really strange. What you have as a promoter nurture is you have the people orientedness in common, because both of those
Probably makes me a good life coach.
Yes, absolutely.
That makes sense, actually, now that I think about it.
Helping, serving, supporting people to be better, do more. That's your inspirational part on your promoter side. And all the help and the support is on your nurture side.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then, so here's what you might struggle with. I got to do everything all the time because I got to be fast paced. And I really need to go be out in the woods all by myself.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you see the fast paced and the slower paced in your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes, recharging, you might just need to kind of be on your own. When you recharge too much and it's all around people all the time, it can be exhausting for you.
And that's where, when I was talking about fast versus slower, because we were talking about, I said, well, and I was actually thinking, I'm like, but there's part of me that's so fast paced, like handle it. Come on, like, let's get it done.
Yep.
And then I know there's part of me that's just like, no, like, I need to go be in the woods. Leave me alone.
Yep.
So, okay, now I'm getting it. So that's what as we're talking about how everyone's a blend. This is where that really comes in. We're going to have a really strong primary, and we could have a really strong secondary, as you do, being the go-getter promoter, or we could have, a medium secondary, which I think was mine from last year, if I'm remembering right. I was super strong in promoter, but only about medium to fairly high in nurturer. So,
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. When your listeners take any kind of assessment that's out there, and they're all good. So, do something. DISC is one of the most world-renowned,
right?
Which is the one that we utilize in Referral Institute. And it's just a simple way for you to get some clarity. Because I think that once you have some clarity around who you are, then you can go, oh, okay, now I understand why I do this.
Yes.
And especially, I want to start talking about some of the networking opportunities that are available for people, and kind of how we help ourselves and hurt ourselves just because of our style while networking, because I think it's one of the things that while networking, it's all about those first impressions. And in many cases, you're meeting strangers. So if you were to think about the 4 major styles, the opposites, so for example, go-getters and nurturers would be the exact opposites.
Right.
Go-getters are fast-paced and task-driven. Nurturers are slower-paced and people-driven.
Right.
So as far as those two aspects go, they don't have anything in common. So meeting them at a networking function, we can absolutely blow our referability. Because if we look at them and go, oh my gosh, this person's, talking about all this personal stuff, and I want to get down to business, but they're telling me about their family, and I don't want to hear about their family. I want to know if they can help me in my business.
Yeah.
Right? The go-getter go-getters, it's possible that you may take the wrong course of action. I said it. The big bag W word. Go-getters hate the word wrong.
Yeah.
So I apologize, and go-getters, we do this. I'm one, I can say it. So when we look at how we're actually working with people while networking and what we're talking about, all those things are affecting our referability. So if the go-getter can understand that the nurturer actually really likes to know the person first. So if they're talking personally about things, they want to hear that about you, because they want to know who you are. Who you are on the planet, not just who you are in business.
Right.
And that's really, really key. So, really paying attention to what people are talking about. So the go-getters and the nurturers are opposites. So when we meet them, we could feel a disconnection because we don't really have anything in common. When the promoters and the examiners meet up, same kind of thing.
As I rolled my eyes.
Yes, just exactly. It's the same kind of thing because the promoters are so much like, hi, how are you? How's it going? What's up? And the examiners are, more reserved and they're more structural and they're going to ask a lot of questions. And a lot of times the promoters can sit back and go, oh my goodness, why is this person asking me so many questions? I'm just trying to find out if I like them.
Yeah.
And so it can be an immediate disconnect. So everything that we teach, everything that we do, I had the chance to write a book with Dr. Ivan Meisner and Dr. Tony Alessandra, amazing man in behavioral styles. And Dr. Meisner is the founder and chairman of BNI.
Yeah.
And also our senior partner in Referral Institute. And the book's called A Room Full of Referrals. And the reason why we titled that is because we got so tired of seeing business owners, entrepreneurs walk into rooms full of people and not understand how to network for the referral.
Right.
And so what we want business owners to see is, hey, every time you walk into a room full of people, you're actually walking into a room full of referrals if you know how to network for them. And that's why your behavioral style is so important.
Right.
You can turn people on or you can turn them off in a matter of moments. And it's all about how you're wired. And I will say this, one of the favorite things that I wrote on in the book is all about the different languages that the styles speak. So each style literally has a language. And if you don't mind, I'd love to give
I would love that because I've talked a little bit about previously on the show about like the 5 love languages and like the importance of communicating with those. And so I'd love to hear what you're about to present.
Yeah, I love the 5 love languages,
Do you?
By the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very handy in not only romantic relationships, but I believe just personal and business as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if we think about this, right, every time that we begin a conversation, every time we're speaking to someone, whether it's a stranger we're meeting at a networking function, whether it is the prospect that you are sitting across the table from, if each style has a language, what if you could speak that language? Think about when you go to France or you go to Mexico, and you're trying to speak another language. Sometimes it feels a little bit awkward. So as I say some of these words, and if you know your own style, you might think to yourself, oh my gosh, I would never use those words. It's just not in my lingo. And you're correct. It's because it's not your language. It's the other style's language.
Yeah.
So you really do want to think of it as kind of a foreign language.
Right.
So in the book, one of the things I got to do was to take the letters from A to Z in the alphabet, and I wrote multiple words for each of the styles from A to Z.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I had to use a lot of dictionaries and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that wasn't fun. But I got it done.
Not so fun.
Yeah. So here's some examples. So if you believe that you were talking to someone who is driven, ambitious, goal-oriented, that go-getter kind of a person, you want to use words such as accomplish, achieve, bold, bottom line is one of their favorite words. You know what the bottom line is?
And which one is this?
This is for the go-getters.
For the go-getters, okay.
Yep, absolutely. You want to say things like, this is done. I got it handled. Like all that kind of language, they really respond well to. Okay. If you believe that you're talking to a promoter, so someone who's got more energy, a big smile on their face, especially if they're out networking, because that's a favorite thing to do because they get to meet all their people. Okay. All right. So things that you would want to say with promoters might be something like, awesome, enthusiastic, energy, fabulous, fun, inspirational, incredible. I call them kind of the wow words. Mm-hmm. This is great. This is awesome. This is unbelievable. This is fabulous. Like all that stuff. That's energy to them.
Yeah.
Now, don't go into the Valley Girl talk. That's way too old. Okay. It's not about that.
Yeah.
But it really is increasing that energy so that they feel inspired to keep talking to you.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I know you can't see Jen, everybody, but she's just like, oh my God.
Cracking up. I'm just cracking up.
This is so hard.
I'm like, all the words that I use like the most, I'm just like, we gotta have fun. This is so awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. One of the ones that everybody laughs at me on, but it's in the book is dude.
All you need to do is like, I don't say that on my business Facebook page, but all the other words we were just talking about are like all over. Like, if you want more awesomeness, like, okay. Yeah, no, this is good. I hope people are writing this down.
Yeah. And I had a gentleman, I was in England. I was in front of about 150 people, and I had a gentleman, and I actually was doing a role play with a promoter in the front of the room. And he was talking about his business, and he had this huge smile on his face, and he was a photographer. And I just said to him, I said, dude, you must love what you do. Like, you get to see people smile every single day. He goes, oh my God, it's awesome. And I had a go-getter stand up during the middle of my presentation, and he said in his perfect British voice, I would never say the word dude in a business orientation. And I said,
that's nice.
Sorry. I'd be like, I said, I totally understand. And guess what? The language was not for him. It was for the other person to hear. So I turned to my audience of all the promoters, because we have them sit all in one section all together, which is awesome because they're all so exciting and energetic. And I looked to the rest of the group. I said, how many of you are completely okay with me saying, dude, I bet you love your business? And the entire section raised their hand. And I turned around to the gentleman that was sitting in the go-getter section, and I said, just kind of shrugged my shoulders and said, the language isn't for you, it's for them. I said, and you can choose to use it or not. And he looked at me and he kind of said, I get it. I don't like it, but I get it.
Cool.
And he sat down.
And I'm so glad you just shared that story, because that's a big thing that we were talking about from the get-go, is when we understand other people, even if it doesn't make, pardon me, I'm having a hard time with my throat today. Excuse me, everyone. Even if it doesn't make sense to us, even if it doesn't vibe with us, part of the thing we're doing by acknowledging other people's behavioral styles or other ways that people prefer to be interacted with is showing respect for them too.
Absolutely. And that's my biggest quest of anything. When every time I get a chance to do the Roomful of Referrals program, I believe that by the end of the program, people are walking out of there with a higher level of respect for understanding why people do things the way that they do things. Yeah. And I can actually get very emotional over that because it's so important to me. Because again, I saw that gentleman hurt and manipulate people, and I swore from that day forward that will never be me.
Wow.
So I do think it's really, really important. So let me keep going with the words here. Yeah. So
I'm getting so excited. Big surprise.
So for the nurturers, words that you really want to use with nurturers, instead of I want to tell you something, I'd like to share this with you. Did you see the different language there? So share is a great word. Yeah. Instead of awesome, how about enjoyable? Do you see how it's just a step
gentle?
More gentle. Yeah. And it's more genuine.
Yeah.
For them, it's all about being genuine. Authentic is a great word. Comfortable, calm, joyful, kind, meaningful, peaceful, those things. Anything that's thoughtful and understanding are some of their words that you really want to get into your language. And what this is going to do for them is going to allow them to feel okay with the conversation. If I go to a nurture in my style as a high go-getter promoter, I'm probably going to be pretty overwhelming. Hey, I really like you. We should do business together. As a matter of fact, do you want to meet tomorrow? Because I really think that we should get down to business and get this done. I think we could have a lot of fun together. You want to do it? And the poor nurturer is, stunned, shocked, is completely speechless. And I just ruined a great chance to have an amazing referral partner on my team.
Yeah.
Nurturers are amazing people to work with because they care so much about other people. And if we can understand that and have that respect level for them, trust me, all of you listening today, you want a nurturer on your referral team because they are great listeners. And you do want to have diversity within your referral network. Not just diversity in businesses, but diversity in behavioral styles.
Yeah.
And that's the key. So last but not least are our examiners. And their words are really words that all, kind of form around process, structure, effectiveness, thoroughness, details, calculated, Perfection. Ooh, they are big time perfectionists. They love to have everything, fully completed so that they know that they have done their best. They like schedules, things are ordered and practical. All those things are really important to them.
Would probably one of their biggest pet peeves then be people that run late to meetings?
Yes, for examiners and for go-getters, because you just wasted their time.
Got it.
So time with task people, they feel like they could have gotten something else done. So you've actually just wasted their time because they could have made 2 more phone calls or they could have done something else. So being on time to appointments, I believe with everyone is proper.
Yes.
But it's most annoying to the go-getters and the examiners.
Right. Well, and I think I just appreciate that because unfortunately that is one of my biggest things to work on is being on time. But it also it doesn't make sense, but it doesn't make sense. Look at me give excuses for my behavior right now. But it helps me to understand too, there's colleagues of mine that we just kind of know that both of us are probably going to be 5 minutes late, and that's just what it is. And I think typically those people are like both promoters or something. Like we got so excited about something else, but now we're excited to be here just 5 minutes late.
Yes.
But there's other people I'm like, oh, this is don't be late to this meeting. No. Like, not trying to deal with that attitude,
Yep.
And it's sometimes as we start to just know people and recognize it, we can feel and know different ways that we need to interact with different people. And that's exactly what we're talking about right now.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that you just said, one of the most important things for me too, is to have people never use their behavioral style as a crutch. So if I were your coach, Jen, I would actually, even though promoters are known for being that 5 to 10 minute late kind of person.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Not all of them, especially if your next highest style is go-getter. But for that super dominant promoter, they are kind of known for running late. And what I have to recognize is, what? They're having so much fun. Either talking
or
to somebody.
On a roll. That's the biggest. That's like, I was on a roll with this. Sorry.
Yeah. Yep. And so
it's that inspired. Inspired action that just
or you just wanted that extra couple minutes with that other person, which then has just made you run late, all day long. And I think the important thing here is to set boundaries,
right?
Set some margins for yourself. So promoters, if you're out there and you know that one of your things is to run a little bit late, please don't use that as a crutch. Your behavioral style does not allow you to break commitments that you've made with someone.
Yeah.
And so to set some boundaries, give yourself some more parameters. Beth Meisner actually, this is probably going back about 8 or 9 years, taught me one of my best lessons ever is to set margins in your life. You don't want to be that person that is just running around crazy all the time.
Yeah.
And fast-paced people, we get ourselves into that. And for some reason, we also think it kind of makes us feel a little bit more important sometimes. And she said to just be able to set margins.
Yeah.
Give yourself that extra 10 to 15 minutes. I was here earlier today. I sat across the parking lot. I just kind of, winded down. I checked some voicemail, but I made sure that I was here early so I didn't have to rush, didn't have to be pressured or pushed. And I tell you what, life's a lot more pleasant when you can do that.
Yeah. Well, actually, and when you walked in, what was the first thing out of my mouth? Thank you for being early.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
And even though that's something for me that's rare, that I'm early places, I just really, especially for with my show, I like to be able to have that time to prepare and be ready and connect. Here comes my nurture, right? To connect with my interviewee prior to the actual start of the interview and, really set the space and the tone. Yeah.
Yep.
So
should I share a couple of strengths and weaknesses for each of the styles?
Would love that.
Okay. So
do you have a big time constraint? Because we can go all the way till 9:45. Okay, cool.
Sure
right on. Because we're at 9:20. See, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. See, exactly.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay. So I love sharing kind of the strengths and the weaknesses with each style. I have a belief, and some of you may not agree with that, and I'm totally okay with that. But I do have a belief that if we were honoring the strengths that were given to us, that our lives would just automatically seem easier. I think that sometimes there's too much teaching on, well, you better work on this weakness and you better work on that. But if that's not your given talent, then, then maybe you can hire somebody to do that stuff for you. But I really do believe in focusing in on your strengths. So we'll go back through the styles. We'll give you some strengths, and then I will give folks some areas to improve on. And I really want to focus this to the business audience today and really help you in your networking efforts. So we'll go ahead and start with the go-getters because they like to be first.
Perfect.
And they don't like to wait and, be impatient and stuff. So go-getters. Some of your strengths while networking is you do get things done. So if you know that Susie needs to meet Bob, you're going to be right on it. You're going to get it done. You're going to make that happen. You are also really good at getting to the bottom line of things. You really like to get enough information to make a good decision as to whether or not the people that you're meeting could help you in some way or you could help them in some way. But you tend to do it quickly, and you do it by asking really great questions. So go-getters are known for being able to kind of manage conversations, figure out if it's a good person to talk to, and then move on in their networking efforts. So go-getters tend to meet more people and get more bottom line results. They will know if they want to book an appointment to get to know the person better or not, probably within the first 3 to 5 minutes of a conversation.
Question.
Yes.
When it comes to or not, perhaps by the end of our conversation or interview today, we can talk about nice ways to decline or not further a relationship or a business meeting, or how to really maximize our use of our time, because as entrepreneurs, our time is sacred.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that with every single conversation that we have that an appointment has to come out of it.
Totally.
Yeah.
But if we, perhaps I feel like there's some people who, in my experience, I noticed a lot of people want to meet, one-to-one. That's a term that we use in BNI, is having a one-to-one. Connect. And I've had to really figure out how to allot my time appropriately. So I'm not having 10 meetings a week with people that really aren't going to be, in all honesty, my best referral partners, and I want to connect. I mean, I used to do 5 to 7 one-to-ones a week when I first started BNI. I was nutso.
Right.
And I realized it's just not sensible for building my business and taking care of myself and my priorities.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I can probably address this pretty quickly.
Oh, okay.
Let me just talk about it right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So see how she just got me off track, everybody?
Yeah,
see,
that's
her
so
promoter
me.
Just got me
got so excited.
But I'm going to go here because I love Jen.
Oh my gosh. That was real. I totally take responsibility for my snort. That's how you know I'm really happy, is when I start snorting.
That is
and I'm having a good time.
Okay, so if somebody comes to me, whether I'm at a networking function or wherever I may be, and they are asking for my time, my answer is typically always yes. But then I qualify it, which I actually believe I did exactly this thing with you. I said, so man, I would love to get to know you better. Can I ask, what would your intention be for us having this meeting? So what would you want to get out of the meeting? What's your intention for having this meeting? And if somebody says, you know what, I'd just like to get to know you better. Then what I do in my calendar is I actually have a day a month where I get together with a bunch of people. It might be 3, might be 10. But I say, you know what? If you're just looking to get to know me better, I'm going to be here on this day doing this. Do you want to come along? Susie and Bobby and Mary and Mike are all going to be there too. And that way you can get to kind of know all of us all together. Would that be okay? And if I'm not sure that there's a true business reason for the one-to-one, then I'll do that. But what that has taken is me already having a date scheduled. Okay. So we've got to get better at owning our own calendar and being the master of our own calendar. That's really, really crucial. Now, if somebody says, well, my intention is, I'm in this industry, you're in this industry, and I feel like it would make sense for us to be doing some business together, then I'm going to say, okay, so in other words, what you're saying is during this meeting, you would like to find out how the two of us can learn more about each other's business, figure out if there's a referral relationship that could begin, and see where we could go to take the next step. I will really, really recap what they just said their intention is. And then if that's what I choose to do and I'm looking for that, then I'll say yes to the appointment.
Can you just say that last part again? No, I'm serious, because I want people to hear that that you're allowed to do that, especially as a small business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, if Jen said, hey, gosh, I'd really like to do a one-to-one with you, I would say, absolutely. Can you just share with me what's your intention? Like, what do you want to get from the one-to-one?
Exactly.
And then if she said, well, I believe that our businesses are related and I would like to get to know you better in business to see, how we could work, then I would repeat it back. And I'd say, okay, so my understanding is you'd like to set a one-to-one. What we would be discussing is, and kind of recap some of those things, who we are in business, what we're looking for as far as clients go, and basically how we might possibly work better together and work it more strategically. Is that what I'm hearing? Mm-hmm. If the person says yes, and that's what I'm looking for.
And that's what I'm looking for.
Exactly.
See, that's what I want to emphasize is we really need to own, like you just said, own our calendar and own our choices.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
I think one of the biggest things I remember from our one-to-one together is when I think you flat out, gosh, what was the exact verbiage? Basically, it was around the thing that you're the most careful about is how you spend your time.
Yes, absolutely.
And time is so sacred, and it really is,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just Skyping a tangent. Here I go. My friend in Australia last night, that she's just there for a few months because she can be. And I said, what's the biggest difference? And she said, well, it's actually like being in America, but everyone's a lot more laid back and they really value their holidays and their weekends. And I said, tell me more about that. She said, they just really seem to appreciate and value time more than we do. Mm-hmm. And I went, oh, isn't that fascinating? And that's, I think one of the biggest things that I really grasped from our time together when we first met was the concept of really appreciating and valuing not only our own time, but other people's as well, but really valuing our own for where do we want to spend our time? What do we want to be doing?
Well, time winds up being your life.
Yeah.
And the choices that you make about your time is what you're going to remember.
Yep.
So it absolutely very, very important.
Yeah. So thank you for that, because
problem.
I really do appreciate just recognizing if I choose to do this, then okay. And if not, that's okay too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It might be that, wow, we're in completely different industries. You seem like a really cool person, and hey, do you want to, go grab some food? It could be that I just get to know them a little bit better as a person, but I don't see anything there as a true business necessity for us to kind of continue moving on. So we can know people and care about people and like people, but it doesn't mean that we have to be spending hours in one-to-ones getting to know their business if it's not going to lead somewhere.
Any recommendation on how to politely decline if you're not on the same page and you don't see it being a valuable meeting to move forward with?
Well, I have a specific way in B&I. Let's see, I can make it work for just everybody in general. I would say something to the effect of, one thing that I would highly recommend, just being in the networking arena for a long period of time, we're in completely opposite industries. And unless you want to come join me and my friends just to hang out and get to know each other on Friday, the whatever, my suggestion for you to use your time wisely and make networking really effective for you is I actually happen to know Susie, and she's in your industry. And I actually think that would be a better connection for you. For you to spend some time with somebody in a similar industry, because they'd be able to find referrals for you easier than I would.
Got it.
So I actually want to find a better scenario for them and give them their time back.
And you're still helping.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
okay,
no
great.
problem.
So strengths and weaknesses. Here we go.
All right.
Or areas to work on or improve on.
Yes, there we go. Yeah. With go-getters, we can say weaknesses because we don't believe that we have any anyway. So that kind of just rolls off our back. With the go-getters, again, we kind of mentioned some of your strengths. So go-getters, a couple of things to work on. One thing that more people are looking for from us as go-getters is we tend to be pretty guarded. We kind of have these walls up because we've got to look good. We've got to make sure that people believe that we're successful. And so when that guard goes up, it allows people not to get close to us. So if I could say one thing for go-getters, and you're not going to like me, and I'm totally okay with it, be more open. More open about who you are, what your core beliefs are. Share stuff about your family and your personal life. Don't make it all business. People want to know the person and the business. They want to believe in you. And when we have the guard up all the time, it's really hard to get to know us. And so it's something that is a concerted effort to kind of drop that wall. But man, when we become more open, a little bit more vulnerable, and that's a word that they hate, because why should they do that? Because vulnerability is what?
Weakness.
Yep, it's a weakness. That's not what it declares in the dictionary, by the way.
We talked about that.
Yep, being vulnerable is more about being open than it is weak.
And just allowing ourselves to really feel.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So go-getters, you've got a ton of strengths. You know what your strengths are. Live there, and know that if your relationships just don't feel quality, open up a bit more. Let people get to know you. Be that person that they, want to seek out and learn more from, but be open. Be that human that you are. It's okay to let people see that side of you.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't seem like it, but it really does work. Trust me. I've spent years knocking down my walls. So it's a big deal. It's a real big deal. For promoters, again, man, strengths, let me tell you, your voice. You guys use your voice to influence people, to move people, to get people to do things. You are an instigator. You love to stir stuff up. You love to get people excited. If there's something going on, you can rally the troops. And so your strengths are really about getting the team together, getting people together, rallying them. You bring that energy and the life to the events and things like that. I always look for the loudest corners of the room, and that's where most of the promoters are. So the louder areas, people talking with big hand gestures, those are all the things that I look for in promoters. Now, promoters, something for all of you to work on might be just possibly, it's an F word, focus. Focus. So promoters, if we could get you to focus just a little bit more.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I will say this, I love watching you guys because just seeing you run is amazing, because you run all over the place. And promoters, I know it's exhausting. It sure is. If you gave yourself a little bit more focus, and this is where I believe coaching comes into play for all of you. Get somebody to hold you more accountable. That is the key factor for promoters. You love what you do. You're great at it. You have fun with people. The rapport and the relationships that you build are awesome. What we lack in is that focus. It's the whole squirrel syndrome, the bright, shiny object, whatever you want to call it. But it's that. And when the newest, hottest thing comes up, whoop, there you go.
Yeah.
And it may not serve you.
Right.
I had a great story from one of my longtime clients. She actually had a chance to go with one of her clients to an event where her client was going to bring her up on stage because she helped her win this award. And it was going to be a very promoter kind of thing. And on the same night, she had something else that was a much more business-oriented, business-building thing for her and her own business. And she was struggling. Guess where she wanted to go? Mm-hmm. To the place where she was going to be on stage and have all the fun.
Yeah.
Right? And where she needed to go in her business and for her business was to the other event.
Oh, yeah.
Thankfully, she called me because she was full-on declared she was going to the other event. And I talked her out of it. Yes, it would have been fun. Yes, it would have been amazing. And what she needed at that moment in time in her business was to be in front of the board of directors. I can't actually say the thing, but at this one place. And that was so much better for her business. It was a better business decision. So promoters, that would be something to work on. How many of you can agree out there? Just shake your head. Yes. Okay. For the nurturers, you are amazing in your networking skills, and they really are inherent for you because you have a high respect level for people. You treat people appropriately. For whatever reason, nurturers have great manners. And you just really know how to take care of people and treat people properly. So while networking, Your skills are really about making those personal connections. When you can make those personal connections, you really bring people into your life, which is very, very important. You are excellent at getting to know people on a deeper level. What I find with most nurturers is you have a large sphere of influence and you know the people in there well. Go-getters and promoters might know a lot of people, just not as deep as the nurturers do. For referrals nurturers, you have more insight and information as to what's going on in people's life. And so therefore, you are amazing at giving referrals because you also want to make sure it's a win-win-win situation. That your friend or family member that you're talking to really needs the product or service, that it's a good referral to the person you're going to refer them to, and you're the catalyst. You're the person that's finding out all the information, and you're taking the quality time to be able to do it. So nurturers, you're amazing at networking. Get out there and do even more of it. And when you're talking to the go-getters and the promoters, with the promoters, be just a little bit more upbeat, and you'll jive with them easily. And with the go-getters, I know this is going to sound funny, but brag about yourself. I know it's hard for you nurturers, but if you were to say, yes, here's what I do it very well, and people hire me because, the go-getters are going to look at you and go, wow, okay. And that strength and that conviction in your voice will really impress them. So that's a quick tip for you. Nurturers, one of the things that I would love to see you work on, it's a little tiny word. It's got 2 letters. It starts with an N and ends with an O. To actually say the word no more often, especially when it's going to benefit you. Nurturers are so used to helping others all the time that they forget about how to take care of and kind of serve themselves, because it's their heart really is about serving other people. So nurturers, we literally in the program, I have people say no out loud like a few times during the program just to get some extra practice at it. So 1, 2, 3, say it. No. No. There you go. So the more you can say no to those things that aren't really serving you, at some point you have to be the leader in your business and do it for you and your family. You've created your business to leave a legacy of some sort. And so to be able to honor you and your business is so crucial to the success of your business. So please, please, please definitely work on that. And then for the examiners, even though you don't wake up every morning thinking, I can't wait to go to my next networking function, that's not your normalcy. Examiners, you do have skills. You do have strengths while networking. Your best strength is seeking out that information and that knowledge. You are fantastic at asking the right questions. You are great at leading the conversations because you actually know a lot about a lot of different things out there. So you're a great conversationalist. I know that you may not feel incredibly comfortable while networking, but get in those one-to-one conversations that will help you feel more comfortable, and do what you're best at. Ask questions, gain the information, get the knowledge, and then you make really good calculated decisions. So even seeing how you might be able to introduce people on certain connection levels, by gaining the information, you can do that. Mm-hmm. So even though networking may not be the funnest thing for you, I do recommend just getting out there and doing even more of it. And if I were to say one thing that an examiner could actually work on in their networking arena, would be to book more networking events into your calendar. Get them in there, right? Because you follow processes. And so if you can get into a habit of going to a couple of networking functions, either a week or a month, depending on your business and where your level of visibility, credibility, or profitability is within the community, those are all deciding factors. But if you can get more events into your calendar and show up, volunteer to have a role during the program. That will actually give you something to do. Remember, you're task oriented. So it'll give you something to do during the program, which should help you feel more comfortable. So work on getting more of those things into your calendar. And as you're speaking with people, just like the go-getters, do a little bit more talking about social aspects or personal aspects. Let people get to know you. So those would be some strengths and some areas to improve on with each one of the styles while networking. And I think just a couple of last moment things here too is one of the things I talked about earlier is diversity in your referral network. So all behavioral styles give great referrals, but the relationship with each style takes different amounts of time. So to build the right relationship with an examiner or nurturer might take more time.
Yeah.
Okay. Go-getters and promoters might do things quicker, and it can get us in trouble. Don't forget about that.
Yeah.
So you've got to look at the length of time it takes to develop with each of the styles. And that's a lot about what we talk about in the book too. If I were you leaving this show today, I would actually write down a list of people that are in your referral network. And just from what you've learned here today, decide, are they fast-paced or slower-paced? Are they more task-driven or are they more people-driven? And really start to identify who it is that you're working with the best and the most in your referral marketing efforts. If you can do that, you're going to see where your voids are.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love about working with Mickey Griffith is Mickey is a promoter go-getter. So he's promoter first. So sometimes when I'm too much in business, got to get it done, he brings me out of that and we can have fun. You see what I mean? So having multiple styles in your life, he makes me laugh. He makes work simple and easy for me, because that's just who he is.
Yeah.
And so that's what he brings to the table. And I can kind of close out with this, too, is we always bring our style to the table because that's the way that we're wired.
Yeah, that's what we know.
So every conversation we have is coming from our point of view, our style.
Yeah.
The language, our body language, our eye contact or lack thereof, our hand gestures, our tonality, our pace of speech, all those things we bring to every single conversation. And what if you knew all of those things about the other styles and what they appreciated?
Yeah.
Dr. Tony Alessandra's coined phrase is to treat other people the way that they want to be treated. Not how I would like to be treated, but how they want to be treated. And he calls that the platinum rule.
Is he who coined that?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, I just actually did a presentation on that last year, so it's good to know where it came from.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
Perfect.
He's an amazing man.
And it's important, and I think that's the best way to wrap it up, is to say that we were taught the golden rule so much. Treat others how you'd like to be treated, but oftentimes that's not what it comes down to because not everyone wants the same thing. Simple as that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Some people might want to be greeted with a handshake and some with a hug.
Yes. Yeah. Last story.
Yeah.
I was at a BNI chapter event. They were hosting a room full of referrals program. And one of the gals that came in, she had on, hot pink and orange boots with a hot pink long sleeve shirt and like this purple lavender vest. Her hair was up. Beautiful woman, stunning, right? And I am talking to 2 or 3 other gals and she comes up and she gives all the other gals a hug and she looks at me, she's like, I don't know you, but hi. And she gives me a big old hug. And I'm like, hey, no problem. From the moment I saw her, I thought promoter.
Duh. Yeah.
Exactly. And she was amazing, and it's just like, that's not naturally what I would necessarily do, meeting someone for the very first time. But because I understood who she was, I made her feel totally comfortable.
Right.
I didn't say, oh my God, I don't even know you. I'm not going to hug you.
Yeah.
That would have been awkward. And so I just went with who she is as a person and treated her the way that she wants to be treated.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It works
right?
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just remember your style is affecting your referability.
Yeah.
And when you can adapt your style, when you choose, because it is a choice, when you choose to adapt your style, then you can treat other people the way that they want to be treated.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Dawn.
You are very welcome.
I really appreciate you being here. And I think that the information that you provide today is so impactful for entrepreneurs and people in general. Anyone that's been listening can benefit from the info we shared today.
Yeah. Think about your kids. Think about your spouse. I will say this. Sometimes it's hardest to identify people we're closest to.
It's so funny. I'm not going to lie. As you were talking, I'm like, I wonder what so-and-so is. And I'm just like really struggling. I'm like, well, because I would wonder, people tend to be different, I think, with their romantic partners or their best friends than maybe out in the world with the business. I mean, we all have the core styles, but I think we tend to see a little bit deeper into people's styles.
You see more of the person.
Yeah.
So you can pick out points in their life where they're more this for the moment.
Right.
Just know that when people aren't in their natural highest tendencies and they're adapting, they can't adapt for very long. So like my husband's whole family came out. I love my husband's family, but it was 8 Italians and me. Okay. Needless to say, I was adapting a little bit. Okay. And I love them. They're amazing people, but I couldn't have done that for 2 weeks. I did it for 5 days and I was very happy.
I just started cracking up because before we started the interview, I was just talking about, so the man I'm interviewing on April 3rd, Gerard Giudice, the owner of Sally Tomatoes in Dornoch Park. He'll be on the show, and I was just saying to Donna, I said, well, when you get 2 intense Italians like me and Gerard together, you never know what's going to happen or who's going to get in a fight or what, And it's funny when you say that. It's like, yeah. So I wonder, I mean, that's a whole different day topic book, but then it's like you add behavioral style to perhaps culture, and it's like, now where do we go? Now it's going to get real crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Across the world, behavioral styles are there no matter what it is.
Yeah.
I love Gerard. Gerard's an amazing man.
Yeah.
Hi, Gerard. And Sally Tomatoes is awesome. We do all our catering from them.
Yeah.
And, so it's great.
It's going to be fun. We're going to be sharing his story of failure and success. And because right now I'm bringing on a lot of people in like the health and wellness areas and a lot of people in the business arena. Yep. That's kind of where I'm at with the show right now. So
awesome.
It's been great getting to have people like you and Mickey and Gerard soon. And, all my other health and wellness people. I had Dawn Dolan on recently. And, I've had a lot of talk about intuition and astrology even. So it's been great. So
Excellent.
This is welcome to community radio. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yep.
Thank you for being here. And if people wanted to find out a little bit more info about you, do you have a website? Is there a way that they can find out perhaps more about the Referral Institute?
Yeah, I would go to Referral Institute SF, like San Francisco, BAYSFBay.com. And our programs are up there. Mickey is fabulous. I love working with Mickey, and he's more available than I am. So I would really highly recommend.
Just check out that website.
Yep, check out the
Explore
website.
what it's all about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Great.
thank you for supporting our programs and all that too.
Oh, heck yeah.
You've been amazing.
Oh, shucks. Thanks. Yeah, I'm all about it. Cool.
Good. Thank you for listening to Inspiration and Information with Jen Julius. For more information about me, you can check out my website at jenjulius.com or like me on Facebook, facebook.com/JenJuliusCoaching.